Oh man. Okay, so I'm just gonna hope that that shit doesn't get picked up. I apologize if there's any background noise or anything. So I just recorded like 15 or so minutes of me doing fish and kind of explaining shit, and forgot that my mic was muted on my recording software. So we're gonna do this again. So I guess kind of first off, to start out here, you're gonna come up here, and as you're chasing down that first fish that spawns, you're gonna want to pay attention to the top left and the top right screen, corner of the screens. I generally stare in the middle and see which side spawns more fish. On this side, or this time it's the left. Whichever side spawns more is completely random, but it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of, you know, it just happens. But it will always spawn 4 to 5 fish. But that's it. Nothing else is really affected on that. So one of the first points that I made was that these 5 torches that are on screen for this left side are the 5 torches you generally want to focus on lighting because they're the furthest away. So you want to focus on these 5 on this side, and then over here these 5 on this side. These are generally the first 10 torches or so. Like these 10 torches are, you want to be in the first 15 almost every time, if at all possible. If you need to skip 1 or 2 of them because you have a couple of fish that kind of cut this corner, you can. After those 10, priorities will shift to hitting these outside fish, or these outside. This torch right here, these 2, and then these 3, and these 2. And the reason why you kind of want to try to hit these, as well as this torch, and then this like inner torch over here, like this one right here, is these are like the second furthest away. So you want to hit them so that way when you kind of cut back through when you're only on like 4 or 5 torches, it's a lot easier to kind of like, you know, pick up one of those that you missed, hit that one, then come over here and hit that one and finish off, than it is to kind of hit 1 or 2 of the straggling fish at the end of the mission and then, you know, do that. Because as you go on, the longer the mission goes on, the longer the fish AI have to separate, and that's obnoxious because you can't get giant clumps, and then it just takes more time, and it's just stupid and annoying. Another thing to kind of keep in mind while you're doing this, is I generally try to have no more than 3 to 4 shots at any given time. And because, and like the main reason why I haven't been like trying to path these, the reason why is because like you see this clump right here, if all these torches are lit, I just kind of wasted all of those fish because I already had 5, you know. Another thing is you can shoot on the move, and that's like the most optimal way to light torches, to kind of shoot on the move. And if you have a giant amount of clump of fish in front of you, don't be afraid to just like wing shooting at a torch. The opportunity cost for hitting that and not wasting one of the fish oils anyway is a lot higher than it is if you were to just run over the fish and waste like 3 or 4 fish because you didn't take the shot anyway. It's kind of a silly saying, but you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, blah blah blah, all that nonsense and bullshit cliches. But it definitely rings true, especially in this minigame where you need to make every single second count. I guess like the 3rd or 4th point or whatever, I don't actually know where I'm at. This is kind of just off the top of my head commentary. You never want to have more. You never want to have all of like one side lit. Like as you see here, out of the 9 torches on screen, there's only 1 that isn't lit, and then out of the 11 now on this one side, I only have 2 that aren't lit. And when you're kind of cutting through, the general like pathing that you want to do is, if you're like starting on the right, you want to hit the, you know, come through like this, and then if there's some more fish, you can kind of do this and then like cut back across, lighting these torches, and then kind of hit these 2 and cut back across and keep their pathing or whatever and do that. You're generally going from one side to the other in like a figure 8 pattern, and if you have all of the torches of one side lit versus none on the other side. Um, you generally end up wasting time by being on one side with 5 shots or whatever, and having to come through, you waste fish and all that shit. Of course, there are times where that's not the case, where you want to light as many torches on one side as you can. It just all depends on where you're currently at and what you're doing on the fly. This minigame is very, very much so on the fly. You can you can't really predict things, but you can plan out what you want to do. I generally always try to stick to this inner pathway because you have access to the most torches. Like rolling through here, just on this inner pathway, I have access to all 5 of these, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you know, you get the picture. I have 20 or so torches I have access to easily. And then on the outside path, I only have access to a few. I only have 7, maybe 9 or so that I have access to really easily. So I generally try to avoid these unless I'm trying to corral fish back to the middle. The fish in this minigame, I don't know if you've ever played any sort of I guess Western game or something where you have to wrangle cows and shit. They behave a lot similar to that, except they're just much faster. But generally speaking, they will never go where they will always try to go as fast away from you as possible. But if given the chance, they will cut back quickly. Because you can see that those fish cut back quickly, but because those couldn't, they kind of went forward. And that's just something that's just general AI manipulation. It's kind of hard to get down perfectly in pat. I'm not even that good at it. I would say I'm only, I don't know, I'm much better at a lot of other things in this game than I am at manipulating AI for the fish. It's just something that I'm really bad at. But that just comes with a lot of practice and a lot of playing of the minigame, and eventually you'll get that down pat. And it just makes it overall generally easier, and that's another thing with the on-the-fly decision making. Just trying to see if there's anything else that I've kind of missed that I want to go over before I go over an attempt or two, trying to explain in general what I'm doing. I don't think there is. I guess one thing to kind of point out is you always want to be shooting torches while you're on the move, as I've said earlier. But if that corner torch isn't lit yet, and there's a bunch of fish, there's 1 or 2 fish clumped up over here, unless I absolutely have to go shoot that, I have 5 fish already stored up, I'm more than likely gonna cut here and hit these, and then come back over here and light some torches over here and get that as my last one, and kind of just take that loss of time to have to come back over here, because it'll end up being slightly it seems in the moment you need to light that torch because it's right next to you, but it is 100% okay to pass up certain torches in certain instances. But it's the kind of stuff that I can't really I and no one else can really teach you. We can give you the rundowns and the basics of what you're generally supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it, but we can't tell you all the little subtle nuances. It just comes from watching the minigame be done multiple times by the same person, seeing their little nuances, and then just playing it a whole bunch yourself. And just trying to learn to deal with the variance in these. This minigame, as well as chickens, and then burning rubber. Chickens being down home cooking. These minigames have some variance in them. It is extremely prevalent in burning rubber, fairly prevalent in chickens, and I would say fairly prevalent in this minigame as well. Generally, if you have good pathing in this minigame, you can generally fight against it and only spend maybe 10 or 15 more seconds than you intend to here, which can be a lot of time at the top levels of this game, for the people that are going for sub 1 hour times and shit like that. It can be quite frustrating to deal with this at sometimes, but generally you can always work with what you're given and turn a bad fish like a quote-unquote bad fish where you would lose 15 plus seconds of time, into an acceptable fish where you only lose maybe 10. You're still losing time and it still sucks, but it's really difficult to both play perfectly and get the, I guess, good variants where the fish like don't path to these outside portions and it's just obnoxious. But anyway, I'm gonna restart the level one more time here and try to go through this one time, kind of live commentating what I'm doing, what I'm thinking about. And then if that doesn't go over well that first time, then I'll do it one time without commentary, so you can at least see how it should be done. Also, pardon me. I don't have anything to drink and my mouth is a little bit dry. But here we go. So starting out, the first thing I'm going to do, obviously I'm going to go to this main fish. I'm going to see that the left side has spawned fish both quicker and more fish than normal. As I said, light those main few torches and then cut back over here. Now there's a bunch of fish on this side. I'm going to kind of not and like avoid those like torches that you're supposed to light, because it was quicker and better to think on the fly and decide that, hey, this is kind of a waste, I should probably not spend time trying to do this, when I could instead take up this variant and understand that it's faster than doing this the quote-unquote, I guess, intended way. And like, I mean, normally you want to avoid those outside portions, but that's again where the variance comes in. If the fish's AI has taken them over there, there's no reason to avoid it. Now that was a very, very, very solid fish, because I was able to quickly cut through these sides and spend not a whole bunch of time trying to chase down fish, and I like properly lit and optimized torches. The fish had less time to kind of get away from these spawns. As soon as you crush a fish, it instantly will spawn another fish. There can only be, I think, like 15 or so fish on the ground at once. Like, there's 4, 5, 6 over there, 7. It's like 8, maybe 9 or 10 actually. And then as you shoot torches, as you shoot the fires, it will spawn more. I think it doesn't actually spawn anymore once the minigame is done. But generally there'll always be 10 to 15 fish or so, roughly, flying around not flying around, but swimming around at all times. And if you're able to crush them and immediately get rid of those torches, and then cut back over here and get back over to this side as quickly as possible, they won't have had time to kind of spread out and get away from each other and be all obnoxious and all that shit. So you can get to them quickly and then catch them before they declump. And if they do start to kind of declump, you can do what I did there and recognize that and cut back into these middle areas. And when you're out here, the fish always try to stay as far away from you as possible. So if there's like fish that are like starting to come out here, they will get scared and come back into the middle. And their general pathing, at least I think, always tries to keep themselves as far away from you as possible. Just in like the general like swimmingness, like those fish are kind of coming towards me, but as you can see, at some point they eventually stop. But yeah, that's the majority of what I wanted to say on chickens. I hope it makes sense. I hope it kind of can help you in any way possible. I don't know if it can. It probably wasn't the most like well in depth or whatever. If I had like the ability to make a proper thing, I would have like had an overlay or something maybe, where like it kind of explained more like routing options, instead of trying to like drive through and show you. But hopefully that can help out. I went over generally everything what I wanted to talk about, and then I feel like that was a really good showcasing of what you can do when you follow the general concept of lighting the outside torches because they're the furthest away, and then kind of adhering your plan to what you're given with, which I was given a lot of fish like mainly in like the center areas, that were sort of clumped up, so I was able to take that and then light these middle torches a lot. Yeah, so hopefully that that helps. And if I need to, if you guys would like, whoever like watches this or whatever, if you would like me to make a follow-up video where I do this like 2 or 3 more times or whatever, and try to see if I can't get like just the shittiest of the shittiest fish, I could do that. But for right now, I'm going to cut this recording and then go over and explain chickens the best I can, to the best of my ability and what I try to do in chickens and that kind of thing. And then I might make one for burning rubber as well. I don't actually know. I'm not good at burning rubber. I mean, it's really hard to be good at burning rubber. Burning rubber is very, very heavily dependent on your, like, what you get for computer spawns, and it's really, it's a 100%, I would say reactionary. You can't really plan anything out. Things just kind of happen, and you go with what you're given. So, it's kind of hard to explain like general tips or whatever. I might go over it at the end of the chickens video, just like general tips, and I don't want to say tips and tricks because it seems kind of 2006, but whatever. Anyway, like I said, I'm gonna peace out now, cut the recording, and yeah, hopefully it helps. Later.